and welcome to Beyond the Rift. I'm your host, DeamonMachine. This is my co-host, Revel. We are going to be discussing all things Smite and things not Smite today because we have with us an awesomely special guest, Mr. Richard Lewis from Heaven Media. He also runs Cadre.org and is the editor-in-chief and just generally awesome, cool guy. Also joining us, everybody should know HiRez Bart. If you don't, he's the esports manager for HiRez, and, he's generally important. He always wears sunglasses. He even sleeps in sunglasses, in case you wondered.
That's why he has that weird tan around his eyes.
And I need to rename Juice Jerby because he's no longer Juice. He is Root Gaming Jerby!
Yes.
Woo!
Cheers.
Congratulations on your awesome little sponsorship, and welcome, guys. Welcome, gentlemen. And there was Lionheart just kind of lurking in the background somewhere. He may or may not say things. He just likes to lurk. So he'll join us probably later after we get everything out.
Major news.
Major news. Root Gaming.
Root Gaming.
Root Gaming gets in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know from Bart, what did you think when you found out that Root Gaming was, picking up a Smite team?
Well, I was the way it actually came to me was through a contact from another sponsor that went over to Root, recently and hit me up and was like, "Hey, man, we were just kind of talking about developers that we'd worked with, just we had kind of a head-to-head on it, and people that we like to work with, and we thought about you and Smite, and we know you have the $100,000 tournament coming up. Can you recommend me some teams? Who's the top right now?" So I kind of linked him the brackets and said, this was when I don't know specifically. Juice had been winning. I believe this was around the time, or maybe before, when he first approached me. That it wasn't in this recent kind of success couple of weeks that they had, that 3 weeks in a row, and they took down all the tournaments. But it was a little while ago, and I was that was who they were most interested in, because one of their things is they were looking for streaming people and kind of content guys and big personalities and all this stuff. And so I gave them some advice then on what teams filled that kind of role, and they elected to approach Juice, and then that was pretty much all I heard about it until I got on Twitter one evening, and then the rest is history, as they say.
So you got a Twitter one evening, so I guess we'll jump over to that Twitter man, Mr. Richard Lewis.
Hello.
Did you have a source that leaked you this information that said Root was signing? Several.
Wow.
Yeah, more than one, yeah. It wasn't a well-kept secret, evidently.
So you tweeted about it, and then of course the Reddit posts went up, and everybody was all in a fur.
Well, let's talk a little bit about why I tweeted it first, because it wasn't just some random wanton act of Twitter trying to be an asshole. Yeah, it wasn't Twitter rage or whatever. Look, it basically, my websites, because obviously we have multiple ones in our portfolio at Heaven Media. We're very interested in Smite. We've worked with HiRez, on the game and looking at its esports potential, what we can do to help and maximize that. Because it would be a real shame if a game, as awesome as Smite didn't find the right kind of esports audience. And I think it's got great potential. I've got early access to the beta, and I'm a fan of the game. But one thing I'm not, no pun intended, juiced in to the scene in the same way that a lot of, see what I did there, Bart? I know you fucking in the same way
I'm an expert, man.
Yeah. You've got the fireplace, I got the puns, okay?
Ooh.
So, right. But anyway, you guys all know everyone, and you know what it's like in any esports thing. It's very hard to get into, and from the outside looking in, it can be very hard to kind of get a handle on what's going to be interesting. Anyway, I talked to a few people. I was just doing some general digging about Smite, and two things became apparent. That there was a big tournament on the horizon, and two, that there was a big pickup on the horizon, namely Juice moving to Root. And I thought, well, I got a lot of mainstream esports fans, if you want to call them that. I certainly wouldn't, based on the mail I get on a daily basis. It's a broad cross-section. But they follow what I do. And what better way to get them talking about Smite than to tweet, hey guys, guess what's happening? This organization you have heard of from other esports titles is actually picking up a Smite team. Whoa. So that was the rationale behind doing it. It was to get people who wouldn't ordinarily talk about Smite asking two questions. Like, one, how big is Smite going to be if an organization like Root are going to pick up a Smite team? And two, what are the plans for Heaven Media websites if Richard Lewis is talking about Smite? So that was the plan.
Nice.
It wasn't about esports drama, because if I wanted to create esports drama, I wouldn't pick Smite to do it. You know? Like, no disrespect to where the game is at right now, but I'm sure everyone can agree I'd out a fucking League of Legends player or something, right? That's going to get... if it was about putting me at the center of attention and being, you know, a big song and dance and drama, you know, I wouldn't pick a Smite team to do it. It was about raising the profile of the game, and in particular an organization like Root, who I got a lot of respect for. You know, and it wasn't meant to be done in a disrespectful way. It was such an open secret at the time. I couldn't believe that it was going to come as a surprise to everybody. I certainly couldn't believe anybody would deny it.
So now this kind of leads up to you, Jerby. I can understand you guys would probably want to deny it at first because it was like, I mean, from what Richard said, everything was already signed and done, but I mean, you guys wanted to release it at, you know, the appropriate time and, like, you know, wait for the build up and stuff like that.
Go ahead.
Let
me clear the air first. This was not Thrasher. This was nothing of the sort. And first, I just want to apologize for the way I even acted. At first, I was infuriated, absolutely pissed off to the most extreme way. And here's why: is because you can talk about in the great scheme of things, Smite is minuscule at this moment. Well, it may be bigger in the future. Who knows? I hope it is. But it wasn't that he added the information, because when I initially said that it wasn't true, it wasn't true. We didn't officialize contracts with Root until about a week ago. And what happened was with a Twitter post and then with the circulating information past that, we were actually, and I really don't want this to be taken the wrong way, it removed a lot of opportunities for us with possible other sponsors. A lot of them backed off right then and there. You know, namely, you know, Absolute Legends. You know, we were speaking to Curse at the time, but the stipulation was that since this information with Root had got out, that everybody was with the expectation of Root. Okay, well, fuck. Now what? And
well, I'm glad you brought that up, Jerb, because one of the things that I found as interesting was this notion that I'd somehow deprived you of opportunities with other organizations, which, you know, if that was true, the first thing I would be doing would be giving you an apology. Even if admitting it now in a public kind of arena would be hugely disrespectful to the sponsors that you did sign with, I'd still be like, you know what, it's not fair to do what I do and for it to impact on people's livelihood. Now, I know for a fact, for example, while at the same time you were going around and telling everybody what a nobody I am and how I've got no kind of ties in esports, I'm just a kid and I need to be ignored and all of that shit, I actually went to the people you're meant to have had these offers from. And I've seen the logs of what you've been telling people about how you've claimed to have an offer from Team Dignitas. Interestingly enough, Michael Odell, who is the kind of owner of Team Dignitas, he's a long-standing colleague, someone I've worked with going way back to the CGS in about 2006, 2007. So I thought, well, I'll ask him about this. And his first response, which I've got here, if you'll humor me to read it. Just give me 1 second, because I haven't got my reading glasses, so I'm going to lean right in, so you might get an extreme close-up of my forehead.
You old man.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it, what happens to you with age. I asked him if he'd heard of you, and his exact response was, lol, who? We have discussed no deals with any teams beyond maybe a hello, what do you want? Then he furnished me with the chat log of the conversation you had, which was, hi, CGS Odie. I'd like to add you on Skype. That's obviously the introduction thing. And it's you said, this is the CEO for Dignitas. He said, why? I apologize for taking up your time, sir. Very, very respectful, Jerb. I like the sir. I'm Jerby, team captain for Juice Gaming, a competitive Smite team, currently reaching out to possible sponsors. And Odie said, I don't have much time. I don't know much about Smite, and I don't have much time to talk. And he said, no meeting after that took place. Okay, so that was the Dignitas offer that I've cruelly snatched from you. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that one, because I'm going to move on to the Evil Geniuses one next, if you want. Because I've talked to the management at Evil Geniuses as well.
By all means, I'm trying to be as respectful as I can here. And
be respectful, but I mean, be honest. Why would Odie a long-standing esports person. He's got no cause to lie to me. Why would he be denying that your team had an offer when you're telling people you've turned down an offer with Dignitas? And the only reason I bring that up is because it creates a pattern of this kind of fantasist behavior, which I think is very important that we get to, and we are gonna get to it. So I would like you, if you want to respond to that. Why are you telling people that you turned down Dignitas when in actual fact no offer was ever made from Team Dignitas?
Now, see, here is what I really, really extremely dislike when you pick and choose wording, whatever the case may be. Now, in this sort of situation, obviously, one of the big things we've done is put a lot of stipulation on, making sure that every single possible name could be out there, with the future announcement, whatever the case may be. And yes, there were teams that we turned down, but we've literally mentioned every single team under the sun. Every single one, man. And I'm not trying to defend myself to other extent. Words are going to be taken and spoken of in whatever sense or light that you want to. Now, what I'm trying to do here is simply to explain this whole situation, this absolute whole situation could have been handled so infinitely better. Now,
I agree. I agree. The situation, as you put it, what caused the problem initially was your emails, which I'm also going to read on air.
Sure.
Because on your stream, what you did was, quite cleverly, you showed the first one you sent, which wasn't actually all that bad, but you neglected to show the second one. So
now,
I'm definitely going to get to that in a moment. But what I think is interesting is you said to Demon prior to the show that I'm scum and I've cost you an opportunity with Evil Geniuses. Now, I know how great Evil Geniuses are. Believe me, I know. I was just talking about how they've got this incredible presence in the North American scene. Just before we went on air in our pre-show, pretty much they are a monopoly and a dominant force. So if I had indeed deprived you of an opportunity to go with Evil Geniuses, I would honestly, and I'm not just saying this for a dramatic effect or when's the punchline coming, I would be mortified to have deprived any young gamer of an opportunity to earn a salary playing a game what they do. I've never done anything like that in my career, and if I'd started with you, Jerbs, I'd be mortified. Absolutely mortified.
So then my question to you, the very first email that I wrote to you, after I initially...
No. I don't want to move away from the EG thing yet. We'll talk about the emails. We're definitely going to talk about the emails. But you said I deprived you of an opportunity to have a sponsorship with Evil Geniuses. True or false?
You deprived everybody when you dictated that we are to specifically design with.
So had I deprived you of an opportunity to move to Evil Geniuses? True or false? I mean, because that's what you've been saying. And again, we can verify that on air. I'm sure Demon will verify that on air. So did I deprive you of an opportunity to move to Evil Geniuses? That's what you've said. Yes?
Of course you did, in the sense that we had to move quicker than expected with every single thing. We wanted to reach out. We wanted to talk to them.
That isn't how you worded it, but again, let me just...
Again, guy,
I'm trying to... Let me finish
this statement.
Okay, well, you may finish. I'm going to get the email.
All right, guys,
So
hold on.
Two
One
managers.
at a time.
Actually, two managers from Evil Geniuses. Cody Avoli Connors, who deals with kind of talent scouting and recruitment and whatnot for Evil Geniuses. He's very hands-on. And he said that we have not been active in the Smite community in any capacity. So they've had no talks with any teams. They've not made an offer to any team, and it's not even a game they've taken a look at. That's what he said. So then I thought I'd be a bit more specific, because I am thorough. I know you think I'm a cheap journalist, but I'm actually quite thorough in what I do, and I take my job very seriously. And this is the reason why I've had such a long esports journalistic career, is because I'm not just some kid who slaps up rumors and whatnot willy-nilly. So I spoke to Colin DeShong, who's the business relations director from Evil Geniuses. Again, somebody that I've had the pleasure to interact with down my years. And I asked him straight up. I said, hi, I'm going on, Beyond the Rift, blah, blah, blah. Can you confirm if you've had any contact with this player? And he said, the name doesn't ring a bell. Can you give me some more details? I sent him more details, and he said, this is the exact words of the email. Hi, Richard. I've never even heard of him. Sorry, Colin. So I think on that alone, I mean, we can see that the notion that I've cost you a sponsorship with Evil Geniuses would be a lie, wouldn't it?
Again, another comment taken out of context. Like I said before, with the comment that you made, you rushed things.
But
now, I'm
here's-
not saying that it's because of you that we signed with Rude. I'm happy as shit that we signed with Rude. I
Yeah.
think that is one of the most fantastic opportunities that I'll ever have in my lifetime, especially with a bunch of great individuals, dealing with Cats and Jerbie and Diego and all those guys. And I'm happy for that. I really am.
Yeah,
and,
you guys do great.
I'm so stoked about that. Now, at the time, like I said, I apologize. I'm go ahead and say right off the bat that I say a lot of things in anger, man. And did it take a lot of opportunities from us? Yeah, it did. It really did. And I'm not trying to I don't know, put more coal to the fire, whatever the case may be. I'm not. This was never my intention. This was to very civilly talk this out and say to you, simply put, the reason why I said that you are a no-name, and here is my opinion. Now, you want to talk about journalistic integrity. You want to talk about all these different topics when it comes to journalism, doing your job. Now, what makes a great journalist? What makes a absolute amazing journalist is a sustained journalist, one who actually thinks of the repercussions of his actions. And please stop making random noises.
No, they're called. It's responses. It's so I'm listening to. Generally, it's something human beings do to one another. Sorry if you've not encountered it before.
Wow. Wow. Harsh.
Let's continue.
Anyway, moving on from that. So when you have sustained journalism, you had two options with that whole deal. Yeah, you leaked the news. That's cool. I'm sure you thought that it was going to cause a stir, not in a dramatic sense, but hopefully for Smite. At least I hope that was any intention, as you say. But in the sense that you didn't look at the ramifications of what it might potentially do. You didn't look at the future prospect of, okay, well, if I ask him about this information, if I just ask him what's going on, how much better and how much more long-term can I make this? Can I get more ad hits on my site or general view hits on my site? And I'm not saying that Smite is going to make or break you. It's not. I'm not so stupid to say that. Smite is small time right now. Way small time. The news that you bring for Smite doesn't even cause a ripple in the water of the great esports ocean. It doesn't.
We
Now,
have proof
at the
otherwise.
same-
There is one ripple, and we have it on video.
What?
We have a ripple on video.
Oh
of
yeah,
Smite. Yes.
We
Go
should,
ahead
we should
and go
totally
play it.
we should totally watch that real quick because it is actually quite
I'm-
news. This is from ThePulse. It's a very large. It's got like crap. I suddenly forgot everybody's
It's got
name.
these large, awesome people that we
Yes,
don't know.
it's a big esport. It's a big esport web show. It's mostly StarCraft 2 related. It's got like Rotterdam and those guys on it. I can't think of the rest of them.
Just
Good
play
luck.
the
Anyway,
video.
here's the
Mr.
clip.
Bitter.
Here's the clip. Mr. Bitters. There we go.
Sort of harping on free-to-play and its merits. There is a little MOBA game from HiRez Studios called Smite that a lot of people know about. Smite recently announced, I don't even know if this is official, but Slasher tweeted about it, so I can talk about it.
Blame Slash.
But they announced a $100,000 Smite tournament. That's massive. This game is not a game that you talk about in the mainstream every day, but that is a game that is completely free to play, completely supported by microtransaction, and profitable enough that they can take $100,000 and say, "Here's a tournament, have fun." So it's pretty interesting and pretty cool. A neat concept.
All right, so there's our ripple. All right, continue, Jerby.
There's the awesome ripple. I mean, that's just like that's.
You've made it, guys.
I mean, that's it. I mean, we've got like these guys who are famous in esports are. I mean, it's great. It's just a mention, but it's still like when you heard him say, "Yeah, there's this little game called Smite," and everybody's like, "Yeah, we like that game." I mean, Bart, how does that make you feel right there? Is that like you're like, "Yes"? Come on.
Oh yeah, dude, that's awesome.
I
I mean, to be perfectly transparent, Ben, Mr. Bitter, is actually from Atlanta. So I got an opportunity to hang out with him a lot and kind of whisper into his ear about, hey, we got a $100,000 tournament coming. At the time, I didn't know they were doing the Pulse, but we've had a relationship with NASL as well prior to this, as I mentioned, with Tribes. We were a part of NASL Season 3. We were lucky enough to do that. So, yeah, I mean, I think they had a look at Smite a long time ago, really when it was in very, very early development, before PAX East, where we showed it for the first time, in public, is when Russell came and visited when we were talking about Tribes in NASL, and he was really excited for it then. So it's great to see that they're, excited about it as well still, and of course, any opportunities that we have with them is something that we will explore fully.
Cool. All right, well, enough of that sidetracking. I just really had to throw that out there because it was
because
awesome.
he said not a ripple. I'm like, we have a ripple. We
the ripple
have a
effect.
ripple.
So,
All right,
Jerby,
Jerby.
you were going on.
Yes. if we didn't like.
Yeah, you were talking about how I didn't think about the repercussions, I believe.
Yeah,
Right.
so the repercussions, man, and I'll try to remember what the hell kind of train of thought I was on there.
Yeah, we derailed that like a boss.
Yeah,
Like,
that was totally.
Sorry about
I don't
that.
know why Rebel had to yell that out, but
yeah.
he
Sorry,
felt the need
I'm
to.
excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh, no.
You can blame me.
Well, however you want to portray those words, but either way. So the point of that was going forward from this. All you had to do, man, especially introducing yourself into the Smite community. And I know even you just said at the beginning of the show that you're trying to get yourself inside the community, that you don't know that many people. How much better would it have been had you just approached me in a civil manner and asked me all this information, which I would have gladly told you, especially when it comes to the PR work and done interviews for the follow-up and everything like that, and you could have got the information correct. But instead, just right off the bat, after I very nicely in the first email asked you, just take down the Twitter post. It's not true because it wasn't. And you said, hi, nice to meet you.
We'll come to the email, but a question for you. Because I'm glad you're talking about repercussions for blurting things out and whatnot. But a little bird told me that you were one of the most vocal people who were talking about BLG.EU going to SK Gaming. And you used to blurt that out on your stream all the time and tell anyone who would listen. So I guess my question to you would be, why would it be okay for you to do something like that and me not?
I didn't. I don't know where. I don't know where Demon.
Are you sure? Because it happened on stream, so again, it kind of seems verifiable.
The only thing I have ever done when it comes to SK Gaming, the absolute only thing I've ever done is bash on an individual skill within SK, as I've said repeatedly, because I just don't care. I just don't care. Within Smite, whatever sponsorship offer that you get, the sponsorship offers are going to be small time because the sponsors of the sponsors are sponsoring specific games. They're not sponsoring just a general organization. And then maybe sometimes when you have rollover money and whatever the case may be, that's when you can venture off into new settings. But the case may be when it comes to SK, Curse, Absolute Legends, Root, they're all offering the same thing. I just don't care. You have to build your own repertoire. And when it came to SK, I didn't care. It wasn't worth mentioning. It really wasn't. If they had mentioned anything, or if I had mentioned anything, I really just wouldn't give two flying shits about it. That's not my business. Now, what I have bashed on are individuals within SK. Why? Because of some of the moves that they made towards some of my friends in Restarian, and that's it.
Okay, well, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, although I'm pretty sure there's going to be plenty of people that will verify to the contrary. But let's look at the emails that you sent.
Okay, listen. Yeah. I'll make this very simple. Very simple. Yeah. I really do appreciate being on the show. It's fantastic. Richard, thank you so much for joining the Smite community. It's really fucking cool what you're doing, man. And I'm so happy that you are thorough. I'm so happy that you are the greatest journalist in esports history. I'm happy with that, man. I'm happy. Okay. But at the end of the day,
you want to stick around and go over the emails, though, because
I don't
you're
give
talking
a shit
about how. You were talking about how it was a nice request to remove the tweet, which that's a bit disingenuous, isn't it?
Listen for just a second. Listen.
Okay. I've been listening. It's been good.
Okay. So here's my final response to you: is that it's fantastic. If you want to dig for information, that's fine. Everybody's got shit that they say that sometimes it's just the wrong thing to say, and I'll take that. I'll take the full responsibility for that. Now,
yeah, but there's the wrong thing to say, and then there's openly lying, like what you have been doing, saying that I deprived you of sponsorship opportunity with Evil Genius.
Richard,
wait, it's a lie, though.
All right, go, Jerby.
Just let me finish.
All right, now please let me finish, for the love of Christ. All right, so the final thing I'm going to say to you is simply put. Again, it doesn't make you a good journalist because you oust information. It doesn't make you a good journalist because you can find information. But what makes a good journalist is the fact that you bring positivity to the scene. I've watched your interviews.
Do you even know my body of work? Do you even know my body of work?
I thought journalists were...
Because you said I was a
Wait, both of you.
Positivity of the scene. How I'm one of the few investigative esports journalists who has actually written articles about people who have robbed players, refused to pay out prize money, and have been proactively trying to get some sort of parity and resolution to these problems consistently since 2005. I've been one of the esports journalists who was the guy to blow the whistle on a lot of the sneaky shit that's going on in back rooms and all that, and have burnt so many fucking bridges that the reason no one's ever heard of me is because I'm a guy who tells the truth and has integrity. So you should know that
because you don't have a filter. That's
no,
why.
no. I don't. Trust me, people don't like it when they want to get away with not paying out prize money, and they haven't got a good reason for it. And someone comes along and does a bit of digging and says, you know what? I don't care about sponsorships, or I don't care about not being banned from your events. I'm going to tell the truth. So don't say I haven't done anything good for esports, because you don't even know my body of work. You didn't even know who I was when you started going around telling everybody all these negative things about me. You hadn't done any. A cursory glance would have shown you I've been around for a while at least.
One thing I wanted to say real quick.
You have no frame of reference to talk about my career.
The frame of reference I have is personal experience in dealing with you. Now, again, for the last time, I'm going to say and try to be the bigger man here and say I apologize for being a dick about the whole thing. It sucks how it turned out, but it is what it is. And now the reputation is sown, and you may not give two flying shits about it. I doubt you do. I personally, I don't care. Now, when it comes to all this, I just don't give two flying shits, man. Again, I will have.
So why were you refusing to come on the show tonight then? If you don't care, why were you saying if I was on the show, you were going to freeze out Demon and he wasn't going to be allowed to work with your team again? If you don't care about that sort of thing.
Here's why. Here's why.
Okay.
You're a negative influence to Smite. You came into the Smite scene with negativity. You have done every single thing to be the vindictive asshole whenever you've made a tweet, whenever you've made anything of the sort when it comes to Smite. You have been just the most dickish guy I've ever met before in my life. And it infuriates me. It infuriates me when there's people like you out there.
Esports website because I want the game to flourish. How is that negative? You, on the contrary, are sending me emails telling me how you're going to have HiRez prevent me from covering the game, which if you want to stay on air while I read them, perhaps you can explain whether I've got it wrong or not. Because you showed everyone the first email you sent out, which was, and I'll read it again. This is Jerby from Juice Gaming. I would like to ask you to remove your Twitter comment about us. Our finalized announcement with whatever sponsor we went with will be released soon enough. This is the friendly request. Thanks. So, I mean, saying this is the friendly request does imply that there is an unfriendly request to come if I don't comply. I emailed you back, and again, I'll read my own emails, so I'm nothing to hide. Nice to make your acquaintance, but I won't be removing anything I ever say from my Twitter. More than one person I've spoken to has told me this is a done deal. And since we'll be getting into Smite coverage, it's relevant to the people that follow me.
So right there,
now you've got to reciprocate and let me finish, all right, Jerbs?
Sure.
If you're telling me that this isn't happening, then I'm all ears. That was your opportunity to open up a dialogue with me. You elected to send the following email. So, as a marketeer, I would hope you understand the importance when it comes to a controlled announcement in concurrence with views and the following increase in sponsor revenue due to said announcement. Now, whether or not you feel the need to care, you're affecting sales and or notoriety of our future. I will again nicely take this down, and after, if you don't, we'll begin to have issues. If you want your site to successfully cover Smite, and as an advocate of Smite and someone who works very closely with HiRez Studios along with the rest of my team, you'll remove your post, full stop, now, full stop. So what you've done is you've tried to intimidate me by invoking the name of HiRez Studios as if what I'm then going to do is go, oh, well, I better remove it, even though 3-4 people have told me the contracts have already been signed. You know, like what you're actually trying to do there is you would rather have me not cover Smite, not have anything to do with it whatsoever, just to basically take down your announcement. I mean, that's ultimately what you're saying, right?
Ultimately, Richard, here's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is, you do your thing. You tell whatever you want, man, because I got over the whole reputation shit a long time ago. Now, what I'm going to try to do, and this is what it all comes down to, what I'm going to try to do is practice as hard as I can with the team.
Yeah, man.
And you can spread whatever damn drama you want to, or I can do whatever. This whole thing can go whatever direction you want to. But I'm not worried about you anymore. Why you're a no-name is because you're a no-name to me. You're a no-name to me.
All right, guys.
So, again,
I'm looking forward to doing interviews with you at tournaments, Jerbs. As mad as that might sound.
Guy, if I ever saw you in a tournament, I'd find your car and slit your tires. But at the same time, what I'm saying...
to Demon earlier today. If I see him out cut, was your exact words. So, you know, if you feel that strongly about it,
he meant that figuratively.
I don't know what to tell you. You know, if me telling the truth, because you did indeed sign for Root Gaming, it was a done deal when I announced it. There's no getting away from that. I've never been caught in a lie in all my years of being a journalist, and I've never announced anything unless it's actually going to happen. And I've got enough evidence to feel comfortable putting it out there in the public domain. If me doing that upsets you to that degree, then I don't know. You might want to look at yourself instead of what I'm doing. That would be my advice.
Either way, you do what you got to do, man. You live, you go, girl. By all means, have at. But at the same time, I've got a more important thing to do. I'm going to go practice with my team, and I'm going to try and get better at my given field. So have fun reporting, have fun showing off emails. It's going to show everybody how you just like to lick the boots and try to follow off of every single person that you can't be. So have a great day, man. Demon, have a great show.
Thank you for joining us,
always
man.
fantastic.
I look forward to seeing you in the next tournament.
And
have a good one.
Have a good day.
Yeah, best of luck, Jerbs.
All right, one thing I thought I wanted to, the thing I was trying to get in edgewise, damn it, was last time I looked up the definition of journalist, wasn't it somebody who releases information that people want kept secret?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Generally, generally speaking, in history, it's been like people who have let information out about the government that the government didn't want known, and then, they risk getting shot or killed, or, when it was a dangerous thing. Granted, esports, it could get dangerous.
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, so
we actually have a couple more guests that we need to get back on here.
Yes, we have some more guests.
I feel like I've made it awkward. I didn't want to make it awkward, guys. You're not skirting over it, are you? Because I made it awkward.
I think they're skirting over it, Richard.
No. I think you pretty much.
When you're at a party and everyone's having a good time, and then everyone's drunk, and that one guy goes that little bit too far, and then there's that silence, and he just sucks the buzz out of the room. I do not want to be Sir Buzz Killington. I'm not having that.
Dude,
That's not what I'm about
at all.
We've got
another half of the show for you to not be a Buzz.
Yeah, I mean,
we're good.
You're saying I killed it. I can't believe it.
No,
I thought that went well. I thought it went
one thing that a viewer asked us, can you ask Richard on stream, if the information originally leaked that Juice was already signed with Root was technically false because they were only discussing the sponsorship, would you correct it on your site? Or was it not? True?
Absolutely. Right. I'll answer that question. Right. Okay. At the point, and this isn't one source, because I wouldn't even have done it if I just had one person telling me this.
Sure.
Because that would be irresponsible.
Yeah.
So this was multiple people telling me the contracts were done, signed. There was no negotiation, but Root wanted to delay the announcement for whatever reason. That's what I've been told. Everybody was pretty much verifying that I spoke to, and it didn't even seem to be that big a secret anyway. So little did I know we would have all this drama coming off it. Had I been wrong, and the time of the announcement, and they'd been in talks with other people, and I'd skewed the talks, of course I'd apologize, of course, because I would have been wrong, you see. But what all you can do as a journalist is when you get information, you check, you double check, triple check. You can still be wrong. I mean, it's very, very rare if you're thorough about what you do. But ultimately, if you put something out there in the public domain that is inaccurate, you've got an absolute responsibility to apologize and correct that. And I would do that. I mean, I've never had to issue a retraction or an apology yet. But if that day came, and who's to say it won't, because I'm fallible, of course I'd do it. You can't live by the code of ethics and then eschew parts of it when it suits you. You've got to be all about it. So and that's what I am. I take it seriously, too seriously. People probably think I'm a lunatic. So how seriously I take it, and I treat it as if I was doing mainstream journalism, which I have done. It's just hardwired into what I do. So yeah, absolutely. If I'd been wrong, I'd issue an apology and I'd correct it.
Now there was a response to that. And how credible were the sources? And would you care to share any of them? Because that was, I guess, a question. I don't know if it's that was the question.
Unfortunately, there's a huge ethical concern around what I can and can't say. Mm-hmm. The sources are absolutely credible. They're solid. They are respected within the Smite community, and they are people who would indeed have had access to the information And that's about as far as I can go, really, because if you start you've got to protect your sources, and not just for the ethical reason of if people tell you information, you don't want to hang them out to dry and get them in trouble. And indeed, some people, when they give you information, they can obviously be held, accountable. They might sign a non-disclosure agreement. I don't know what's going on there, and frankly, when you want to get the story, you don't really care. You just get the information and then you protect the source. So there's that to consider. But also as well, I just think, you kind of take the hit for the source. Like, you can get fed bum information.
Yeah,
you can spend ages chasing up a story and waste your time and look like an asshole. But that, it's like, say, you've got to. When the flack comes, and indeed, I got a lot of flack for this. Like, when you're introducing yourself to a new community and a prominent figure in it saying this guy's a liar, this guy's an asshole, this guy's robbed me of a livelihood elsewhere, and things like that. It could have been real hard for me to come back, which was one of the reasons why I thought it was important to come on this show. So I definitely think, had it been wrong and I was here offering a frank apology, I wouldn't want to hang the sources out to dry either.
Yeah.
So, so the sources were reliable. I honestly wouldn't have put it out there in the public domain if I hadn't.
All right. So we have with us on the phone DM Brandon. DM, what would you like? Do you have any comments? I mean, you were, Juice's, like, you were in Juice for a long time, and what is going on with you in Juice now? I'm actually kind of confused as to your
Juice was started in 2009. Me, Allied, DFAT, we all started playing together. DFAT wasn't really a part of Juice. Allied's been a part of Juice forever. So we started getting really serious, and then I got a job, so I stopped playing for a while. So we sub me out, and we pick up Anatoly, and then we sub out Anatoly to break up Reason. Basic business. We just make sure to get it done, and it worked out. I mean, look what we did, and a bunch of jerks, right? So, a lot of it went down, and I don't want to blow anything up too bad. There was a lot of clashing personalities. I mean, it's still going on. If you guys could hear the chats, like it'll never end. I'm not going to say who it is. You guys can, I'm sure, pick it out, but there's a lot of clashing going on pretty much all the time. There's a lot of yelling. It's pretty much like a bunch of Zapmans fucking running around being useless. So, shout outs to my boy. Anyone except for Zapman, actually. No shout outs to Zapman. So then I see this drama start with my guy here, Richard Lewis. And the first thing that comes to my head, I'm like, oh, wow, people know already? That's awesome. How people care about us this much? And then Jerb starts flipping out, and I'm like, I don't really see what the big deal is. This is kind of cool. Like, all you have to say is, like, I got no comment. That's the end of it. Like, Root's not going to care if people are telling me, like, we're not saying anything. So what does it matter? Like, this makes us look good. Like, if a month before the deal comes out, someone's like, not only do I know, but I think this is important enough to tell the world. Like, that's awesome! This is my life now. That's my team.
One thing I wanted to say was that it's like, okay, one thing I wanted to know. If Richard tweeted that and then EG and all these other guys dropped their possible picking up of them, why would they do that? They would be like, wait a minute, so Root's going to compete?
Other people, like, it would be like, EG would be like, wait, Root's going to pick them up?
Yeah.
Is Smite serious?
Yeah, it's like
maybe we'll consider now, and then maybe EG will go back and look. And shout outs to Root. I'm a big fan. I'm actually a huge fan of Athene and his charity work. I think it's godlike. But EG is obviously bigger. So what if EG went back and said, like, I didn't know Root was trying to do this. Maybe we should nip this in the bud and try to steal that. And we all know that EG has a lot more money than everyone else. That's just and that's no offense to Root. Again, I'm a huge fan of Root, and I'm so pumped for my Juice Boys to get picked up. But as a whole, Juice Gaming still exists. We still play other games. I had my Juice Boys over for my birthday the other day. We played some Marvel.
Oh.
It was awesome.
Did you turn 12?
Bodied. No. Zuko bodied me. Zuko from the moon. Destroyed me pretty hard. But
that happens. It's all right.
But it's pretty cool because, like, Root initially wrote, like, we acquired Juice Gaming, and I sent them an email, like, you got to fix that. Like, you didn't. If you want to give me a bunch of money, like, that's one thing. But, like, I'm working on some other stuff. I'm still going to be around for Smite. I'm just staying behind the scenes right now because I'm lazy and kind of useless. But honestly, my whole take on this was, this is awesome, and Jerb's yelling at me.
Put all my weight behind it.
Yeah, me too. Me too on that one. I'm gonna 100%.
Yeah.
Yo, by the way, Bart, check your Skype real quick.
I did. I didn't reply to you because I was on a show.
Type, Peg. But honestly, I saw no problem with what Richard did, and I know a few members of Juice agreed with me because I asked everyone. But I would take it with a grain of salt because there's plenty of salt to go around.
I love me some
Everybody's
salt.
salty. I love salt.
But honestly, Rich, I think what you did was awesome, and like the fact that you cared enough about the team that I started to tweet about it. And no offense, I don't know who you are. I don't know who anyone is in this chat except for what's Arenatank. I'm a big fan of Arenatank.
Don't worry about that. No one knows who the fuck I am in general. That's how I like it, because then you can do stuff like this, and there's no fucking bullshit around it.
Hold on. Did you just say you don't know who I am?
You want to do this? You want to do this? Oh wait,
friendship is over, dude.
Wait, I remember. Didn't you make a video
I'm
about
gonna give you that treatment you tried to. Well, we won't bring that on there. Never mind.
Didn't I screw your team over
But like, just for the future, for everyone out there, he's a journalist, and the whole. Well, I don't know if you are or you're trying to be. Right? Again, I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions, but a journalist's job is to just blow shit up, like 24/7. Like today, I read a news story about like these two neighbors. Like, and the one couple has like a dog and 5 kids, and they put a bunch of dog shit on somebody's porch. So the guy shot them both and killed them. Like that. Like, you probably shouldn't be telling the whole world this guy's shooting people for putting dog. Like, and then like, oh, but you better take that Smite news down. That's just fine. Like, just don't even worry about it. But awesome. I'm really pumped for my Juice Boys, especially Allied, who worked so hard, and Lassies, who I think that if you cut him, he would bleed like.
Nice
guts. Like all he does, like this is his whole life, and I'm so pumped that everyone loves Lassies because he really is like the nicest guy I've met in years. So, shout outs to Richard for doing great. Shout outs for the Juice Boys for being godlike, and shout outs for Lionheart getting really mad when I care about him again. That was awesome.
Angry dude, God.
All right, so thank you, DM.
Thank you, DM.
I very much appreciate that. See you later. So if you want to call us up, feel free to do that. So what I'll do is introduce everybody else who has just joined us because we were kind of like trying to leave the first part of the show to try and be those guys and let them try and work it out. And you see how well it went. Bored. It went as well as
I think it went really well.
I think it went a lot better than expected. I was expecting like everybody swearing at each other and then people hanging up and people throwing shit. And so I mean it was rather nice. So
he could have been throwing shit.
He could have been throwing shit. On. So in the left corner we have Alecyte from Smite Casts. They do lots of casting and
more or less. Come
more
on,
or less.
a little more energy.
I do whatever. I like
you do whatever.
Mod Reddit and
he mods Reddit and stuff like that.
I'm a team manager and just do random
stuff. Apparently
stuff.
Smite Network doesn't appear under Cooper, but Cooper is the runner and owner of Smite Network, and then of course you know Richard and Bart, and then Lionheart, the community caster, yay Lionheart, and Arenatank is the mid laner for BLG.na or BLG right now, and so thank you guys for joining us. What I mean, so how was the first part of the show? What did you guys think? Were you were you entertained? Were you not entertained?
I loved it. It was awesome.
Gosh.
I mean, one of my things is I wanted to air this shit out now before it gets festering worse and like suddenly we're at like $100,000 tournament and then people are fighting on stage. You know, it's
that would be awesome.
Hey, I mean,
they would get so much
there was a
press.
fight at the finals, like when they're giving each other checks. Kidding? That would make.
I just gotta watch out for my fucking tires, right? Like, apparently,
just ride.
I'm gonna need a share of that money if I turn up just to fix my car. So.
For the keep the pod, dude.
Hey,
you guys were both so abrasive. I didn't really know how to react. I'm glad I wasn't on camera like Bart, 'cause I was just sitting here laughing at the both of you.
Dude, I put my hood up and I'm invisible.
I thought Bart wanted to turn off his camera in the first part just to sit there and laugh at everything.
No, it's not funny.
So abrasive.
You guys are just laughing because you're uncomfortable. That was not funny. That was some real shit. Like, I mean, realistically, I mean, it's you know, you heard what Brandon said, our DM, right? I mean, that's really essentially what my reaction was as well. Was like, so my experience with Cadred, which is not incredibly well exposed to not FPS players, especially in America. It's really well known in Europe, especially amongst FPS players. Here, like it kind of goes. It seems like in the States, it's like ESEA, and then that's like kind of like where the buck stops with people talking and thinking about FPS gaming and coverage and those types of things. Now, I'm sure that there's someone that's going to be like, "You asshole! You neglected, our FPS general site." Shout outs to you, Curse. But I just realized that is the actual name of their website that covers FPS. Okay. Anywho, from Tribes and dealing with European Tribes players, Tribes obviously being an FPS, they always were, spoke pretty highly of Cadrid and would send me articles about, just things going on in esports. In fact, I think one of the articles they actually sent me was, I think, Richard, you had written it about I think how important demos and playback and spectator, having a good spectator mode and these types of things were for the opportunity to grow the game. So at the time, and actually still, Tribes did not have the demo feature, while Smite does, which is something that we've developed, for Smite, and then, we can obviously, it's a platform change, we can take it back towards Tribes, which is, as far as I know, our plan as a studio. So, anywho, I had some exposure to Cadrid as a legitimate and pretty well respected, at least among the guys in the community that I had, respect for, and their opinions and their theory crafting and their involvement and the betterment of esports and all that. So when I got linked the Twitter, I retweeted it, right? I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
that's crazy. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
I knew obviously at that point, right? Because I had talked to Root, and I had been in contact with Root and other organizations, right? I mean, that's my job. I'm the esports manager for the game. I'm supposed to engage them and then be available when they're interested in picking up teams and advise them, or at least give them, the pamphlet. Be like, here's your guide to competitive Smite as of first week of February. So when Richard tweeted it, I was like,
What?
My first reaction, honestly, was that Root had leaked it to him on purpose. I'm just going to be honest with you. That was literally my first reaction, was like, someone there probably told him because they wanted to get a different set of eyes on this pickup. They could have told, there's not a lot of people that you can tell in the esports world something like that as an organization.
Yeah.
It's the kind of class or caliber of guys like Richard and Slasher and that have this kind of like dynamic reach on Twitter, where they break stories and then sometimes they catch and they become these kind of big stories, right? Everyone knows about them.
Yeah.
So, it was like, wow, this is great. This is a great opportunity for Juice. This is a great opportunity for Root. This is awesome for me. This is, obviously Root has a lot of reach, and I've had some exposure to the Root StarCraft players going to LAN events, and the guys are really well mannered, and the team seems really nice. And like I said earlier, I had a friend that I'd worked with before on a different team with Tribes that was now with Root. So it seemed really, really exciting. But as it is now, it just kind of fell out in a way that was obviously a little bit was not very graceful, I guess you could say. But I still think it stands that it's a good pickup for Root. It's a great thing for the scene, and that I look forward to, seeing what else comes in the next couple of weeks with these guys and with other teams that may or may not be talking to sponsors. I think that this is not the last story that we're going to hear. It just may be the most dynamic and explosive one for the moment.
Yeah, it's going to get.
You know what though? As a foundation, that's brilliant, and I've seen this happen a lot with games down the years. Like when they're fledgling titles, and what happens is you get that one big pickup that everyone talks about, and it makes the next organization more willing to bite the bullet and be like, yeah, fuck it, let's get a team, right? Yeah. And it snowballs, and before you know it, you're not talking about 3 or 4 teams, you're talking about 8, 12, 24, right? And partly, and again, I'm not trying to make out I'm some sort of esports messiah, like wherever I go, like fucking good things happen. That would be bullshit, right? Like, that's not.
That'd be great.
That's not what I'm about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like
I'm not skill.
I'm not an egotistical guy. I don't care about any of that thing, like the status that goes with it. But the what I envisioned happening was Root coming to me going, fuck, how did you find out? Holy shit, like, do you want to do an interview or something? And me being like, fuck yeah, let's hit this hard, pumping it out, and then everybody coming to me going, Smite? Really? Are they picking up Smite? And then me going, yeah, it's fucking awesome. And before you know it, more and more organizations start picking up Smite teams, and that would have been great off the back of it, instead of talking about some pissy little esports drama because one guy's chucked his toys out the pram. And let's be clear, he doesn't even care. He doesn't even care that the information's been released. We've ascertained quite clearly I haven't impacted on any future opportunity. It was always going to be Root. It was never going to be EG. No one else knows who he is, right? So we've ascertained all that is true. What it is because I didn't comply with his request to remove my tweet. And that's what it's all about. And I think it sucks for the rest of the team that one guy's ego is eclipsing what should be a great fucking story and an example of how Smite has progressed and is starting to get noticed by mainstream esports. And, for me, it's just a shame. And I'm like all of yourselves. I only foresaw positive things.
Yeah.
The minute I typed it up, I was so stoked. I thought, this is going to be great. What a way to introduce myself to a community. No doubt I'll end up doing a show like this. But instead of spending all this time talking about where's Smite going to go, and we spent an hour or whatever talking about Jerb's bruised little ego. It's distressing and upsetting that, the rest of his team have kind of got to pretend that they're okay with that. So, that's my take on the whole thing.
So since you brought up where you expect Smite and Esports to go, I mean, we have this great panel here. Why don't we just jump right into
Do you have
that?
any questions for us, I guess would be a big question, Mr. Richard? Like, you got all facets of the Smite community here. I mean, you got the pro, like Arenatank's one of the mid-lane pros. I mean, he faces off against Jerby on almost a daily basis, right? I mean, you guys scrim against each other a lot. Every weekend you guys see each other.
Every other couple days, yeah.
Yeah. And so, you got the pro, you got the casters, and Cooper here. Do you want to do your announcement now, Cooper?
Do you want to save that for the end?
Dude.
Okay.
Before he gets an announcement, he needs a lamp.
He needs a.
I mean, that's all I'm saying.
I mean,
before
Richard,
announcement lamp.
I mean, it's a good
It's
opportunity.
really not. I'll do it now.
Okay.
So Richard can maybe shed some light on it. And Bart is here. So Smite Network, who's been in development for a while now, if anybody in chat doesn't really know, it's a tournament site similar to My Revenge, but it's going to have a lot more features. We're announcing a $3,000 tournament. So it's not a lot, but very, very shortly we're going to be doing $3,000 invitational tournament. So that's coming very soon.
Very nice.
I say it's not a lot, man, but Counter-Strike Global Offensive are still hosting events now of like 1,500 euros first prize and shit, man. So that is a lot, really, in the grand scheme of things. It might pale in comparison to some of the MOBA titles, but one step at a time. Like it's a huge step forward for Smite. It's something to be really fucking pleased about.
Yeah, I mean, you when HD and Husky StarCraft did the $2,500 beta, King of the Beta Invitational. It was huge. I mean, it was they got hundreds of thousands of views because it was that much money. I mean, granted, now Riot's kind of downwinding it. It's like, oh god, it's only 20. That's like how much we throw at our dishwasher, But it's great for everybody else except for Riot or League of Legends teams, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, my 2 cents on it. That's the largest prize pool anybody's offered for an online-only tournament in Smite thus far.
Yep.
Right? I mean, the only thing that was larger than that, you had to travel to attend.
Yeah.
You've tripled the prize pool offered by the MYR Monthly Invitational, which is a best-of-3 double elimination, the longest tournament of my goddamn life. So, I mean, you should be pretty excited about that, and I think everybody else in the community should be too. So, thank you, at least on behalf of the community, from me to you for putting that together. That's really great.
So in order
hey, let me interject here though, real quick, is that I think it's important to note that, as you mentioned, My Revenge is putting up, or that there's $1,000 available each week or each month. I'm sorry, for the guys to win. But I mean,
that's actually you guys.
That's Hi-Rez, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're giving them prize money to give away, and this is the first I'm hearing of a $3,000 prize pool for Smite. So hats off and congratulations to you, Steven, for putting that together. I mean, that's. And whether or not us giving money in the scene is like other sponsors are like, oh wow, they're looking at that page and going, yeah, people are sponsoring and giving money, we should too, or however it is that it's fallen out. I mean, that's definitely something that's worth pointing out, is that this is one of, if not the first, and certainly the largest kind of independently, so to speak, funded events that we've had in the community. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to work with everyone, and I've been trying to get it off the ground for a while, and things are finally starting to roll in good. So we'll see how it goes. But more information will be put out a little bit later on in the coming weeks.
That's great, man.
Yeah, $3,000. Hell yeah.
So
and you don't even have to travel to Paris.
Yeah, I know, you don't have to travel to Paris. And in order to make it better for Lionheart, I'm going to really try and convince Cooper to make a best of one, single elimination, first blood is what wins, and that's it. So it should take you about 5 minutes.
Don't do DE best of 3, please.
Well, let's be honest, though. The problem wasn't that it was DE best of 3. I mean, that's just a little bit obnoxious, just how long it is for the amount of money that was, on the line there. It's like 18 hours of gaming for $1,000 split 15 ways with non-weighted or with weighted distribution, but
Super Bowl.
that's a lot. That's a lot of time. But really, at the end, it was kind of like at the end of all the things. Then you get to the grand finals. Juice, now Root Gaming, has come from the winners bracket. They've played more games by a substantial amount than the team that went through the losers bracket, because a lot of those games were decided by best of ones in the interest of time. And then they get to the grand finals, and it's a 0-0 best of 3 no reset situation. And that was really like, it was just so anticlimactic after something that was like, everyone was like, I'm just going to stick it out. We're going to stick it out. We're going to make it. It's akin to it being a tournament in which it goes that long and there's only one prize, right? And the second place team has played for 18 hours in a weekend, and they come in second place and they lose and they get nothing, and the other team gets $1,000, right? I mean, that was I think what went wrong this weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you're not alone, though. I mean, it still happens in established esports titles. Like what's the best format to host a tournament through? It's a discussion that comes up all the time. I mean, a lot of people are diehard double elimination enthusiasts. I don't particularly like it for esports because it comes from baseball. I think, if I'm right, is where that system originates from. It doesn't really happen in any other sport that I can think of globally, and certainly most of the popular sports. You wouldn't have a double elimination bracket. It wouldn't happen. And if we're trying to make esports a bit more accessible in the mainstream, having to explain every tournament what double elimination is kind of counterproductive. So that's my take on it. But yeah, you get it all the time. Best of 3s, best of 5s. Do we do this? Map elimination. There's so many different facets to what makes a good tournament. You need to kind of, as a community, come together and settle on a specific rule set, because there's not going to be one tournament style fits all for every game.
Yeah.
And Smite's obviously still finding its feet and finding what works for it, and that's great. And you might come up with a format that no other esports title has, and that's what works best for Smite. So I would say, collectively with the community, you shouldn't feel pressured to fall into esports conventions, because what is conventional now across several esports titles wasn't always. There was all sorts of shit that used to happen back in the day.
So I want to ask.
It's not like even people at the top are doing anything consistent, right? Look at MLG.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, they fucking flip flop all the time.
You need a flow chart and a diagram and like a licensed professional to explain to you exactly what goes on in like their extended series in StarCraft. I mean, it's like you're sitting there, and when you're at an MLG event, you're watching it, you're just like, yep. Like, this makes perfect sense. Like, they just keep going, and then they're like, this is the final game, and you're like, yeah, I'm excited. But just from as a spectator that's not involved there, and you're like, they're going on their 11th game now, and you don't really understand why and how that's going to impact all the brackets. When you add complexity, I think that you made a really good point, Richard, that you're spending a lot of time as a broadcaster, which is obviously where Lionheart and I can attest to this, explaining to people what is going on, where we are in the tournament, why this match is is a big deal, right? Oh, well, if they win this, they want to stay in the winners bracket, so they don't have to face their arch rivals and get sent to the losers. They don't want to face them till round 4, and we don't want them to go to face them till round 4 because we want the best tournament possible. So it's like you have all these headaches, and at the end of the day, is single elimination best of 3 better for Smite? That's something again that is not necessarily we have to answer tonight, but it is a question.
Now, I did want to ask Arenatank, if you could pick the perfect tournament system to play on the weekends, what would it be? Would it be double elimination, no losers bracket, single elimination, losers bracket, best of 3 finals? I mean, what would you like as player?
Round
robin for the
Swiss,
first 6, or
As me, assuming it's going to be, maybe like $1,000 tournament, I think double elimination best of 1 would probably work for the system. When it comes down to something bigger, like 100K, I'd like to see maybe double elimination best of 3, because there's more money on the line, then it
maybe
matters
best
more.
of 5 or something like that.
Yeah, something more intense. But for the weekends, maybe double elimination best of 1, I think is fair, in my opinion.
What do you got, Lionheart? Looks like you wanted to
No,
on that one. You were like...
No. Me and Lionheart talked about this.
I typed in chat. I mean, I'm pretty opinionated about this. I don't really care whether it's double elimination or best of 3. It just shouldn't be both. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you're gonna run double elimination, you can have best of 3. That's fine for the grand finals. but don't make every match in the winner's bracket best of 3 the loser's bracket. I mean, you're just exhausting players, and then you're also dominating the entire weekend. You're not giving anybody else a chance when the game's still in its grassroots to try hosting a tournament and just seeing what else is out there. And I don't like that. I don't like that how long it goes. I don't think it needs to go that long. I think players could have just as great of a competitive experience that wouldn't be as exhausting for the viewers if it was one or the other. It doesn't have to be both.
It's interesting because a lot of the kind of debate about it all comes from LAN culture. You know, like when you go to an event, people want to get value for money for their ticket. So what we used to have in the UK was like, you know, single fucking elimination, non-best of 3, and everyone was like, well, I turn up, I lose one game in the knockout stages. I've played 4 games, I'm going home. Fuck that. I paid £80. This is bullshit. Like, you know, I want more games. So then what they had to do was we had to come up with a deliberately convoluted system to try and give value for money to people. So it was like, okay, you'll play 3 games in the upper bracket and then 3 games in the lower bracket, and then you've played all these games, and it was just a ridiculous kind of situation because we felt that pressure to provide value for money in a competition because there wasn't that distinction between the very top competitive tier and the casuals who go to LAN. They know they're not going to win. They know they're going to finish outside the top 8 and they just want to hit the bar, but they've still paid £80 and they still feel content bitching about how they should get value for money. When my take on it is it's a competition. You know, if you turn up and you suck, you go out and that's it. Bye. That's how it has to work, right? But all of that then has to translate to online for the interest of consistency. And that's when you get situations like what you're talking about, where it's the never-ending fucking tournament. And it doesn't work for online. Because, you get to a stage of, all right, well, I've got to go out this weekend, so can we reschedule? And then before you know it, the date of the finals come around, and, you haven't even played the quarters yet. And it just sucks. So I think you need to kind of recognize the differences and play super fast, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, online tournaments so people can just sit down at the PC for 40 minutes, play a game. Am I in or am I out? Cool. Mm-hmm. And when you go to a LAN, maybe focus on giving a bit more value, more bangs for your buck.
Richard, check yours. Or check that. Do you check the Skype chat that we're having below?
No, I've been ignoring it because, as I said, I'm blind as a bat, so I probably can't read half of it without doing this.
Dude,
and peering into it.
Okay, my eye surgery is still kind of catching up. So it's I can read the small text that says Lionheart and stuff like that, but the black on white text is just still not working out. Way over there. Over here it's okay. But anybody who's trying to message me on my personal account, like my personal Skype, I can't change it. It's got all these guys on there. If I move it, it's gonna let everybody know it. You have to message me on perfect.rain if you want me to see it. Other than that, it's going to sit there and blink at me and drive me insane, just going, there's a message for you. You should check it. But, good Lord. So that was where I was at. What was going on while I was doing that?
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Alecyte, if you were to run a tournament now, what would you want it to be? Like, best of 1, best of 3, after you turn on and stop clicking your keyboard?
That's me.
You mean no? Justin Bieber.
You're still muted.
Justin Bieber is muted. That is another cool thing we have with Smite.
God damn it.
One of our community guys is Justin Bieber.
Yes,
so
he has the hair flip and everything. We have a GIF of that, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, we do. He's like,
yeah, Coop owes me $15 for that. Just saying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like people always seem to bitch when it's not best of 3 because they're like, oh, they got lucky, and then stuff like that happens. So I think I'd rather take best of 3 over double elimination, just because, I don't know, it seems like people bitch when they're like, oh, this guy got lucky in this game and he just happened to win and got this advantage early. And yeah, I think you'd have to have a best of 3 there.
Okay.
By the way, I want to highlight the fact that when you actually break it down, double elimination and best of 3 is the same damn thing. You still beat or play every team twice. You just do it at different times. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, good point.
Just something to go on.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
but I don't know. It's like one match, and then you get people complaining, and their viewers complaining, and everyone's just like, "Oh, they got lucky this game, and they happen to move on, and then they have an advantage over me." And I don't know.
Well, right, and there's the third game if it's a tie. So,
how does it be a tie? Like, wait, you're saying it's double
best
elimination?
Of 3. If you win the first one and they win the second one, there's a third game.
Yeah, that's the best of 3. But yeah, okay. So let me.
It's really best to 2. It's like the first to 2.
Well, that's what it is.
I mean,
That's like how it works.
Doesn't sound as cool though, does it?
I know.
First to two.
Yeah, first to two. Go.
That's what it's all about. Like
one.
first to two sounds kind of lame, but best of three. The best of.
You are the best man.
You see, yeah.
It could
it's
be best of
linguistic trickery.
two.
Same shit, but one's better. One isn't.
I mean,
That's
I guess
just how it
best of two technically works because if you win two, then
Although
you are the best at two.
three is a larger
Okay.
number than two.
All right. So
yeah, I
we
can
have
see
a
that.
caller, Mr. Weed Unicorn. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Good. What would you like to ask about, sir?
Yes.
All right, so I've been playing ranked for days. It's pretty much all I play in Smite now, and
Sorry.
no, I love it because I get to play with good players. I mean, I had like
Sure,
4
sure,
games with Lasses today. I play with Zapman usually like once a morning, and it's a lot of fun. My question, I guess, goes to Arenatank, Lionheart, maybe Bart. I don't really like him that much though. How do you guys think ranked compares to competitive play? Like in terms of what people are playing, how teams are built, etc. Because you end up with some high players, and it can be really interesting having like
High players.
2 guys from BLG.na, some random dude, and then like the mid from my REU.
Spray
Do you want to
yarn?
go first, Arenatank, or do you want me to
I'll go first. I think in general, ranked play, while it's good practice, but it's just an entirely different thing when you're with 4 different random people who like you're probably buddies with, like half the people on your team. But it's completely different when you go from that to going to a coordinated team game where you're talking to everyone on your team in voice chat and you're coordinating and you're trying to figure out when to rotate and when to do ganks. It's an entirely different, game basically. But it's definitely good practice to do ranked.
It gets your Twitch mechanics up and your reaction times, keeps them skillfully polished.
Definitely.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and you don't get used to just destroying people who are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me try and give a little bit of a different answer. I do agree with Arenatank 100% that they're 2 very different things. When you're playing a team game, first off, you're on voice chat. That alone's huge. You're not always on voice chat with the people who you get queued with. Sometimes you are if you're fortunate, but not always. But the thing about ranked, what it really rewards, I think, is communication, learning to communicate with your team. You already have that when you're playing competitive with your team. You guys already communicate to each other. It's just natural. And the thing about ranked that I think is really good for players who are trying to maybe break into the 5-on-5 competitive scene is it's an opportunity for you to practice communicating, for you to practice positioning and realize your individual mistakes while trying to help other players get better. And constantly in every game I've ever participated in, League of Legends, mobile-wise, League of Legends, Dota, even this game, the players who excel at ranked and who get farther aren't just the ones who are talented. There are plenty of talented ones who don't always excel. It's the ones who are talented and then also work with their team to get their team in position and help, teach their teammates, whether it's raging on them, teaching them, which, believe it or not, when someone's raging, they can still be teaching you something. You don't automatically tune them out. But it's an opportunity to teach your teammates, and then you improve yourself as well, just by practicing things like positioning. But the way you play in ranked is not this, it's good in terms of practicing maybe the laning phase or practicing communicating, but the way you would play your actual role in ranked, very different than how you would play in 5v5. It's much more carry yourself, independent role at the same time, even though you're communicating, than in 5v5 where you really know you can rely on your teammates, and you don't usually have that in ranked. I will say that when ranked first came out, there was a good month or so where you did have that, where I think every game I queued, I knew every single person's name that was in it, and that was really cool, and that died very quickly. So,
Well, I mean, it's good that more people are joining, so you don't play with the same 5 people all the time.
10 people, but yes.
10, yeah.
Yes.
Same people on your team. Bart, do you have an opinion?
On whether or not rank teaches players anything about transitioning to competition?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of self-referential, right? I mean, it's like, does going from just the general queue to a harder queue where you're ranked with people that are better help you learn how to play the game better and as a team? Of course. But is it like I am the, top ranked ELO master, does that mean that you can successfully form a team? In that man's case, kind of. In Xing's case, he didn't create the team, he was part of a team. And there's plenty of guys on the ladder that don't play in teams that are in the top, right? That I see, and you're kind of like, well, why not this guy? And because it takes, as everyone else has kind of said, it's very much about communication, and that is kind of a little bit tangential, but that to me is the kind of most important factor of esports, especially learning how to play. So that's the topic, right? I learned everything I know about MOBA games from watching ventcasts of people playing Dota 1 and Heroes of New Earth. 100%. All of it, everything came from there. Now, granted, I've played for 5-6 years now, and I know quite a bit, but everything I learned about how that game is supposed to be played, it's like when you go to a tournament for a fighting game, and you're the baddest dude that you know, and you get blown up and 3-0'd, and then you're sitting around and you're like, I didn't even know that these are things you can do.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's going on when you're watching. For me, it was watching Fnatic MSI when they played Heroes of New Earth, their communication, listening to their ventcast, listening to how their carries talk to the team, listening to how we were like, yeah, we need to call missing more. Like, what, guys, come on, we should be able to do this. But it's not that. It's things like you write down the timer for when you've killed the map objectives so you can go back and pick them up. You're telling, hey, I need you to pull this camp at this time so it'll stack because I'm on the other side. I need to make sure that I stack this camp. All these things, right, come together, and it's not just like I'm going in, guys, support me, right? It was all the chatter and just listening to it. That was like, oh, that's how you played this game, and that was how it all, for me, kind of came together. So I'm a big fan of kind of espousing that it's really communication that makes these teams good, because that's why you see guys at the top of the ladder in solo queue that are extremely good, but not part of these competition teams, nor recruited.
And the other thing I want to highlight about the ranked solo queue also is more often than not, and this is, a good opportunity for you to practice the skill set, not the communication set that Bar was talking about. Although I did say you should communicate, right? But I mean, he's right in that teams, that have better communication tend to perform a lot better. Is that it is a good opportunity for you to practice your individual in-game skill set in terms of playing a specific role, knowing learning damage outputs, learning how to land your skill shots and whatnot. And you never see ever people who are on really good teams that aren't at least at a fairly high rating. They might not be at the top rating, but they're usually fairly high, and so that's usually indicative of skill, right? And you don't see them necessarily making excuses for why they can't get there. So it's a good opportunity for you to get yourself up and improve your individual skill as well to try and close that gap into the competitive scene. But I 100% agree with Bart on the communication aspect about what makes 5v5 competitive teams really good.
Nice. So, does that answer your question there, Mr. Wee Unicorn?
It does. I have a short follow-up question.
Go for it.
How does Toot gain elo? How does he do it?
It's a good question.
Placements?
Any comment?
We don't have that answer.
It's a mystery.
He's the best Anubis player in North America.
I have checked his match history a couple times before during the week, just out of sheer curiosity. My understanding is he's actually not really playing right now, but he'll do good in some games. He really will. I mean, there's some games where he's very positive, where he's carried, and it's pretty clear. There's some games where I've seen him go with 7, and you know what? The same thing applies to a lot of other players who are at the top rating. I've seen games. No offense, Shinger Zap, because I love you both, but I've seen them completely feeding games before, and I've seen them carrying games. And I think everybody has it. And as much shit as people give to Toot, I mean, he's not incompetent, and that's he had good placement matches and. No rating system's perfect, but he's clearly not incompetent. I mean, he's not a terrible player.
That is a compliment for everyone. Like, this guy, he's not completely terrible. He can kind of use a keyboard.
But I mean, you at the same time you have to realize that our Toot is within the top 1 to 2% of all players.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, let's be honest here. I mean, it's like, yeah, this guy. How did this guy get to in the top 20 people on the ladder? And then you're like, yeah, God, he's like brain dead. It's like, and he is better than literally 99% of everybody else in the game.
Oh God!
You can send your angry messages to Lionheart.
Oh, that's great. All right, thank you, Mr. Unicorn. We got to get to our other callers.
Thank you guys. Can I give one shout out?
Maybe.
All right, shout out to Zapman. I'm gonna play Sobek. I'm gonna fling you. You're gonna love it.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yes.
Very nice.
All right.
Nice.
Thanks,
thanks, sir. We're going to be having on Mr. MyRevenge's North American team, Blake, as soon as I get him on the phone here. But he's going to explain to us why MyRevenge runs the tournaments the way they do.
Isn't he a tournament organizer, not team?
Yeah. He's also on the North American team.
I don't know.
Is he really?
I thought so. I'll have to ask him.
We'll find out.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen him play. He tried casting.
Okay.
Once or twice.
Blake, are you on the BLG or not BLG? The
Yes,
MYR.
are you on BLG?
Shut up. Are you on the MYR North American team?
No. I just.
Oh, see.
I swear you were.
Awesome.
You just like you headed up or something, right? You managed.
No, I'm the manager for the European and North American team, and I'm the main tournament
North American
admin.
team. I was mostly right. Anyway,
Mostly wrong.
yeah, I was mostly wrong. Anyway, continue, sir. So how exactly does My Revenge run tournaments? You wanted to explain that for us as to why it's a double elimination best of 3.
Yeah, I came into this kind of late, but I figured since it pertained to, mainly kind of what we do at My Revenge. So 9 times out of 10, kind of how it goes down is our CEO, Noir, kind of, it's new to us to a certain degree, hosting tournaments. We've sponsored teams in the past, and they've mostly been with Woggle or something like that. Another tournament organizer that has more experience than we do.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of with running these tournaments, it's more experimentation. We went from hosting tournaments that I guess Smite Cups 1 through 5 maybe had 8 people to 10 people max in a 16-team bracket, so you were still ending up with wild cards. And then HiRez announces that there's going to be a $100,000 tournament, and the very next tournament we have 22 teams sign up. The one after that, 27.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of kind of being exclusionary and just restricting it, we've been experimenting around with having different size brackets, 32 size brackets with maybe a round 1 ending, or a best of 3 or a best of 5. And that's why, it's kind of been a little frustrating for the teams, more or less, to kind of experiment with us, because they do expect a certain degree of professionalism to come from somebody who's organizing a tournament. And, we're trying to take all the feedback and kind of, make a better tournament out of it, to where we don't run a best of 3 elimination with a loser bracket and it lasts 11 or 12 hours and just wreck everybody's mind in one day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys have planned for this weekend's, Smite Cup number 10?
So with Smite Cup number 10, we currently, I checked it sometime today, we may have 6 teams signed up, and more or less, people end up signing up last minute. So we'll probably run that one kind of usual best of 1 with a best of 3 in the finals.
Okay.
But for the monthly tournament, when it'll be our 3rd one, if I'm not mistaken, we're pushing real hard. So if we have a loser bracket, it's going to be run correctly, or if we decide not to do a loser's bracket, it's going to be run what more people expect of an MLG style tournament or something like that, just so we can kind of, get the frustrations away from the teams.
Yeah. Bart, do you like inhaling your microphone? That's a question.
I'm sorry?
Do you like inhaling your microphone?
Oh, was I make tons of noise all the time?
Yeah,
you're just like.
Oh, dude, I was cracking up. I gotta be perfectly honest with you, dude. Someone just sent something to me and Lionheart in a chat that we were in that is just the funniest thing that I've seen all day. I'm very sorry to Blake. I'm sure that was distracting, dude. I was trying to hold it in from just flat out turning off my camera, taking off my headset, and rolling around like a child. Oh my god, that's funny. Okay, sorry. But do you have a serious question for me, or was it? Should I?
No, it was just.
I'm fine.
It was so distracting.
Mostly stop blowing in your microphone.
But yeah, all right. So that's why. So what did they do?
No, I figured it was Bart and Lionheart laughing at the kind of ridiculousness of last weekend's tournament and all the trials and tribulations we went through. So
yes, there were some trials and tribulations there.
Yes, there were. Also, what happened last week was casually competitive number 2, where BLG guys, we get together this lovely little tournament where it's basically, anybody who wants to play, you can come and play. You just cannot be on a pro sponsored team. That was the stipulation. So now, what happens is, holy crap, hold on. People calling me randomly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He can't type and
Right.
talk
I can't talk and type.
It just doesn't work.
Shut up. So the tournament went well. It ran real smooth. It was just best of 1, single elimination. Run through it. We'll have a best of 3 finals. And Team King just raffle stomped everybody hardcore. It wasn't even funny. So we looked up the players on there. 2 of them are top 10 or like top 15, and so we're like, shit. We're like, damn it, that's not quite what we meant when we said casually competitive. I mean, we meant like, you don't have enough time to play it all the time. You want to play like kind of serious, but you don't want to get your ass kicked by pros, basically. So this week we're running a 2,300 ELO cap. You have to be under 2,300 ELO to participate. That's what we got, like 90% of the
And to
people.
be fair, when we told the teams that had the like super high ELO people in it, they were like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, we were just kind of abusing it." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So everybody was okay with it, and we just lost all of our.
They say they were gonna make Smurfs.
Yeah, they're like, Smurf time it is.
Yeah,
and
they
I was
were
like,
just trolling
They're
us.
like, oh, we're just gonna make Smurfs now.
They were just trolling us. So we lost all our videos for an unknown reason.
Yeah.
Probably because Demon's
Why does
computer.
it always happen when the rain stops? Like, it's storming out here, and it's like as soon as the rain always stops, every time we ever have an issue with the internet, like, videos go out because the rain calms down. It's like, shouldn't you work better at that point? Anyway, it's just, it's the
working
internet
that
here.
much better that it's broken.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Yeah.
So, I want to find out...
Arena, just leave.
Yeah, not trying to interrupt you guys.
Your
but,
entire team is like.
they're complaining now.
Yeah,
Okay, yes. Arenatank, I really do want to thank you for joining us. I'm sorry we didn't get you in more. I mean, we have a very large crowd here. We will get you in future episodes and have much more to talk about. Go be
I'll
with
be
your
back
team.
next week.
Yep. See you later, man.
Take it easy, guys.
All right.
So
Everybody
everybody.
shout out. I'll shout out to the BLG team, and
Heck
they're
yeah.
pretty cool. They're doing pretty well. They're pretty newly formed, I guess you could say, more or less.
Well, I mean, they're definitely.
All right, so Blake, did you get in everything you wanted to say about that? Because I got
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's more just kind of a, stick with us while we experiment around and, kind of get our footing in hosting tournaments. And, hopefully we'll have a smoother ride from here on out. We can kind of put all this behind us.
awesome. But yeah, we had to hand over the stream Sunday for you guys, so
Yeah,
I hope
yeah,
all you guys
Yeah,
enjoyed
we
that.
gave you our awesome caster, and
Yes, we even gave you dry
Well,
bear.
driver. I got a question. Blake, what do you think the best way to run the tournament is? I mean, that's something we talked about earlier was, is it a format that we've tried or we haven't tried or something that is unique to Smite? I mean, just moving forward, for the next weeks and month or what have you, do you have an opinion on that, or is that something that, you have to talk to My Revenge about, or what's your feel there?
I mean, I do have an opinion of kind of how different the weekly cup should be run as well as the monthly final. But kind of getting the feedback from the team captains, I don't know if it's entirely feasible yet. For example, the weekly cups, if we're going to continue to have upwards of 30 teams, rather than having a 32-person bracket that, tournaments do end up lasting, 9 to 10 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I would rather have a qualifier sometime during the week, say Thursday or Friday, and then have a 16-person cup on Saturdays, where everybody's already qualified that's going to be in there. And I feel like it would virtually cut the time in half. But kind of the feedback we've heard from the competitive community is, nobody is currently making a living off Smite with it being new.
Right.
So people are having to kind of do their 9 to 5 Monday through Fridays, just like I do, and they don't have time to compete during the week. So you do run into this instance where anything that you're going to do, it has to be done on a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah. That's
And
one of the big problems.
Yeah, and as for the monthly, with there only being 8 teams, I feel like it needs to be one or the other. Just a properly run losers bracket, or a like a double elimination without the losers bracket.
Okay, so that's what you're going to try and do this week, is make sure it's not both best of 3 and double elimination.
Well, yeah, the weekly cups, we've kind of nailed those down to a format aside from having, the longevity or it just being too long. That's really the only complaint we kind of run into now. So we're really just kind of focusing on the monthly tournaments and kind of trying to figure out where we go with those.
Yeah.
We do run into an instance where, somebody will sign up for a tournament and not leave contact information. So, they don't show up in our raid call server. We don't have Skype information. So, we have to delay the tournament 20 minutes and DQ them. And I think you're going to run into that with any non-land-based tournament. So, you just kind of, you got to adapt. And, I feel like we're kind of headed towards the right path with kind of reevaluating how we're doing things, especially after this weekend with, having to borrow your caster and kind of interrupt the BLG tournament, which we feel pretty shitty about, more or less.
No. It was cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay, but it's all right.
Oh, I mean, we had to do it, or else the viewers would have chewed us up. I mean, they were all just like,
yeah,
we do have
"Where's my
spectator
MIR?"
casters now, so that's a step in the right direction. And as a hindsight in our part, assuming that those guys, were all good and ready to go, and then it was just kind of like a perfect storm. And
yeah.
To be fair, I mean, they had casters lined up that the way that we distribute spectator codes is in general. Well, spectator access is in general via code that you redeem through the redeem promotion inside the game. It turns out, as many of you know, when you win 400 gen codes, you can only redeem you can only redeem all promotions one time, so of that type. So that is actually literally what was preventing them from having their own casters. It turns out that we have figured that out, and it is resolved. But that was the case. So certainly not a lack of planning or preparation on my Revenge's part. It was that flat out the system didn't work, and we had no way to know why it wasn't working at the time. So just to make sure that's clear, that it wasn't that Dry Bear didn't end up having to step in and cast it because of the failing on there, and that was on us more or less. I mean, yeah, that I'll take responsibility for that. That was on me.
Well, I mean, we also did kind of panic. Just like any good organization does, we panicked when things went wrong. So here from on forward, I think things will be okay, and we'll just try to get everybody to rally around us, kind of hear out what the competitive community wants, and try to cater to as many people's needs as we can.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time, Blake, and good luck with running the tournament this weekend. We will all be watching, and because we got to unfortunately wrap it up soon because it's been running for like an hour and a half now.
All right,
so thanks for joining us.
I should also jump in and say, just for people who are watching, and so Blake knows also, I won't be around this weekend. I have family coming in town, so I am not the coverer, I guess, this weekend, but I'll be back the weekend afterwards. So I'll miss all of you guys, but
that giant smile on his face says he's
family
really
comes
not going
first.
to miss us. He's like, I'm going to miss you guys.
See you later. All right, so
it's all right. Much
I mean that I have to broadcast. I didn't even think about that. I was just like, yeah, Lionheart's not here this weekend. We'll get another co-caster.
Just
and
use
I'm like, wait.
and Bart, a popular request people were messaging us on Skype was that that giant empty space you have in between your bookshelves, put a Sobek head right there.
No. I'm getting an oil painting of myself.
Are you going to be nude?
Naked?
Naked? Fig leaf, baby.
Fig leaf.
Yes!
All right.
Touching the finger of Zeus.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome. So now that we've gone around full circle and stuff, we want to. What? Is there any topics that we specifically missed that we really needed to cover?
Yes. Major balance changes for Smite. Hi-Rez is like, oh, guys, we're going to release this major balance change patch, by the way, and we're not going to tell you anything about it.
Bart, do you have anything you can tell us about that? No. Did I just end the conversation right there? Is that what you would say?
What can I tell you about it? Well, first off, it is the case that is happening, right? I can confirm that.
It's
no.
So
in all seriousness, there is a lot of things that are going on in testing right now, and my actual comment about that would be more to the tune of, much like what Blake has just said. Basically, bear with us as this is going to shake things up. I mean, you guys have seen it before.
Yep.
Obviously, we are very willing and capable and crazy enough to
just change everything,
turn the game upside down,
dude.
To make sure that we're kind of stretching the boundaries of the playpen we're in enough within the genre and within kind of what is the way that you do MOBA games. I mean, like things like directly buying stats, not buying them through items, and the ability items. They've gone through probably the most change of any singular aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm, sure. Yeah, they have.
We will and we'll continue to do that until the point at which the game is released and is at some point where it makes more sense to go to more similar to what Riot does with League of Legends in a season-based thing, because the competition aspect of the game is so, integral to how, people experience the game and the entertainment. So, but beyond that, I mean, that's the kind of company we are. Like, we're going to just go and do things and try things, and we try to do some amount of reaching out to the community prior to and engaging interest and running up a PTS, a public test server, and doing, kind of going through the right things to do to make sure that something is met. But at a lot of stages, sometimes the changes that we make are just so kind of encompassing of the entire game and the way it is played that you have to, no amount of testing for 3, 4, 5 days beforehand in a PTS environment is going to solve everything. So now, without kind of specifically addressing the size or magnitude of the changes that are upcoming, I don't expect this is going to be a massive shakeup in terms of the community's attitude towards the game, but it is certainly it requires a rebalancing that will. It's like tipping over a soda machine, right? You push it back and forth a few times where it finally goes.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and then it falls and crushes your friend.
Yes, it does.
That's right.
So I want to ask Richard, now that
your friend goes back and plays Zynga games, and you continue on as a Smite pro.
Yes. Richard, now that you've been sitting in here for our, you haven't really had to say much because we've been just talking about Smite. Now that you've been sitting here for this show, what do you think of the game? What do you think of its potential? And just based off of what we talked about this past hour and a half and, its future, are you looking forward to seeing more about it? Stuff like that.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I mean, the first thing I would say is don't get hung up on balance changes because any MOBA title is always in a constant state of flux. You tweak one little thing, it throws everything else out of whack, and the meta game completely changes. I mean, that's just the nature of a MOBA game. If you update them, it's never going to be perfectly balanced. It's never going to happen. Never. It didn't happen in the original Dota. It's certainly not the case in Dota 2. It's not the case in League of Legends. All you can kind of do with the balancing issues is be sensitive to the competitive community that I put in maybe a month of practice prior to a tournament, and then bam, you get a fucking patch right just before a massive tournament, and the hero or god in your case, that we've been destroying people with is shit. That's it. He's gone. He's out of the equation, and that completely ruins their game plan. So, for example, with the LCS championships in League of Legends, what they've done is they're kind of phasing in their most recent patch. So there's been a lot of nerfs to Olaf and some items like Warmogs and things like that for people who follow League of Legends. They're not playing post-patch. They're playing pre-patch in the first week of the LCS. Then I think the second week, they're going to do it again, but with a view in the third week, that's it. It's going to be on the patch that we're on now and what we're all playing kind of as casual players. And it's interesting because Valve, who obviously do Counter-Strike, what they would do is they were completely oblivious to the esports kind of scene. Yeah. You would always get a major Counter-Strike patch that would change fucking recoil or whatever before a LAN, before a major tournament. It just always seemed to happen, and it would completely throw in strange results. I mean, I've been doing the casting for ESCEA, they've done a big European Invite League, and they're going to have the best teams in Europe and the best teams in America meet in an American LAN and play each other. And I've been doing the casting for that. And there was this one update where the Desert Eagle was just a fucking hand cannon. It would just tear a head off from across the other side of the map. And people literally just were like, "This game's shit now. I don't want to play it." But they had scheduled games they had to play, and it did skew some results. It really did. And then a hot fix came in, but those results still stand. So you've got to be definitely sensitive to the competitive community without pandering to them. Balancing issues are always going to be there. You just got to make sure you're not doing a massive one before a tournament, or everyone's going to hate you, possibly with good reason. But to answer the question, am I looking forward to seeing more of Smite? I think it's got fantastic potential. It does something very different, and I'm hoping that you get a lot of this elitism within MOBA titles. If you ain't Dota, you ain't shit, right?
Yeah.
Our game's got such a complex metagame. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in a game of Dota, and all of this elitist shit. And that's what it is. I mean, all games are different, and I don't believe that skill ceilings are kind of absolute. They say, Dota's up here and LOL's down here, right? But what I find interesting is I've never heard a Dota player talk about how Smite is potentially a more high skill game because of the number of skill shots.
Yeah.
That you have to do in it. That it's all about aim. So you've kind of got to have these FPS player mechanics within the game, and I think that's the most interesting part of it for me. Is that this is actually not about auto casting. This is about you've got to hit your spells, you've got to hit your abilities. And I think on that basis, if people can get behind that idea and how it challenges the MOBA structure, we might be getting elitist arguments from the Smite community, like, you know, which wouldn't that be fucking fantastic, right? If people suddenly realized how hard a game Smite actually is and how it's worthy of some respect as a competitive title.
Hell yeah,
but of
yeah.
course, it was the same with Bloodline Champions, if you remember that game. It never got the fucking respect that it probably
Bloodline
deserved,
Champions,
being a hard
interesting
game.
stuff, man. That's like a game. Talk about a game that did everything right and never succeeded.
Yep.
I mean, outside of anything around marketing or any of that, I mean, obviously they had some issue getting the word out. But that notwithstanding, they had full in-client tournament support. Like nothing has that. Like full on.
Yeah.
Like way more robust than anything that League of Legends is offering. Way more robust than anything that Defense of the Ancients is offering. Way more robust than any game I can think of outside of the tournament support that is in fighting games for local play. I mean, it's seriously at that level. And I mean, they had skins you could get for playing. There was like special points that you could get to get items that indicated that you had been in these tournaments. I mean, everything was there, and the game was fucking really fun.
Yeah.
And I would get on and play with my buddy, and it would be like, yeah, there's 20 other people online. We're gonna get a game. No joke. I mean, that's not hyperbole. That is quite literal. 20 people. You're like, that's good for my region. And that's you look at Smite. I mean, we're doing a lot of the same things, right? We're moving and we're adding features into the game all the time that are purely to support esports. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The demo system doesn't really help anything but esports, and there is the fringe benefit of content creators having an easier time of doing their content. But if they were really passionate about making content, they made it, and they did before there was a demo system.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Right? There's the TV tab that's coming out that, you know, is not incredibly well detailed at this point, but basically it's going to be similar to what we have in Tribes, where all of the streams that we approve basically to show up on the list will show up on the list when you're streaming Smite. When your game is set to Smite on Twitch, it will show up in our client. Right?
Nice.
Who does that help? That does nothing but further the streaming community, which is something we're very interested in growing. Quite obviously, we run a 24-hour Smite network.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to support other streamers beyond our own, outside of something like an official tapping, you know, the knighthood of the featured streamer in League of Legends. I mean, this is just going to be like you apply, you say the right things, you go through and jump through the right hoops, you're on the list, and then if you stream, people can see it. I mean, that's and then there's other things down the road that, you know, I can't specifically talk about right now that are pushing in the same direction. So
yeah,
you know, it doesn't. A lot of times, I think communities will get caught up, especially gaming communities, on what features they don't have. Like, oh, if we only had ranked 5s,
that would do it.
We would see these. That would be it, right? And so there's ranked 5-man queue in Smite, right? What's like the top teams? What's the problem? There's no one for them to play.
Yep.
Right, and they're like, oh, if only we had ranked 5s, we'd be able to practice all the time. We'd have a blah blah blah. And not to say that wasn't a good idea, and not an important thing to put in the game, because I think it was, and I was very much in favor of it.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of times you have to realize that games can be 100% feature rich, complete, robust, well integrated, have all the Steam connectivity in the world, and they're just not. It's about how strong the community is and how much you guys want other people to care about what you do.
Yep.
I think, right? I mean, it's not even like I want the viewers, I want this, I want that. You know, you want someone to go on YouTube and be like, funny Smite vids, and somebody is out there filling that need, and that's really what the community is all about.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think as well, though, like, this is like what I probably don't like about the esports community is very fucking rarely do they get behind the people that they should be getting behind. Like, anything that's banal or trite or fundamentally bad for the fucking industry, or, you know, it always seems to have these, like, huge swathes of people that will support it. And then you get, like, a company, like, say, with Bloodline Champions, which was developed completely with the interests of esports in mind. They brought in my good chum, Too Good, to be the community manager for that, and he fucking put his heart and soul into it. To make it work, and they had tournaments at DreamHack and all over the fucking place, and it didn't work out. And, you know, it was like, that was the community did that. the community did that. They could have got behind the game. And look, it's not even, it's a case of like, okay, well, we just didn't like it or whatever. It was just kind of, oh, well, what's the point? No. It was at a time when if your game was free to play, people were kind of a little bit dubious about it. Like free to play meant bad, right? Like, because the free to play revolution hadn't happened, like where it was the preferred, it's now the preferred distribution method. It's the one that's actually the most lucrative, and it's the one that gives you a wider player base. And it's completely turned the industry as we know it in gaming, not just in esports, but in gaming on its head. But that wasn't happening back then. And everyone was like, oh my fucking God, free to play means bad. It means like, you're watching graphics as good as stickdeath.com, and you know the game sucks balls, and it was that prejudice that kind of drove people away from it. And then you've got guys at HiRez Studios who I think have put out like consistently solid games, like Tribes and everything else, which the community need to recognize that that's a company that are like trying to do something for esports. And you can either support that. You don't have to like the finished product, but you should still try in your own way to support what they're trying to do. Because in their absence, you are left with the same old names. And once they crowd everyone else out of what they're going to do you think they honestly care about community influence? Of course not. Community influence generally starts out with like, oh, yeah, we want you. Come, listen to what we're going to do. We'll do everything you tell us to do. But then 3 years down the line when there's no realistic competition, yeah, we don't need you as much now. We got a good financial base. Fuck you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch it, don't. And that's generally, I mean, that does happen. And I think it disheartens me that the communities in general won't get behind people who are trying to do good stuff, which is why, like I say, I wanted to really get on board with Smite from as early as possible. Because it would be great to be on the ground floor of something that grows, and good people are involved in it, and it's something a little bit different to the same old shit. Like, it's not a Call of Duty clone, it's not a fucking Dota clone. It's actually something that is unique in its own right, and it deserves attention, and it deserves to flourish.
Yep, it's its own little genre. What should we call it? Third-person MOBA?
Fucking awesome is what we
call it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. People, it's hilarious that people just kind of put it on the MOBA shelf.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets a lot of credit for being quite as revolutionary as what it is, which is why, and again, it shows the difference between the gaming industry and the esports industry. In the gaming industry, it turned heads, front page of PC Gamer and other stuff. Everyone was talking about it right from its inception. You've had the YouTube video got fucking spammed everywhere. Like, look at this unique take on it, and isn't it cool? They're using real mythology, and instead of blowing up a building, you bash a fucking Minotaur's head in and all this stuff. And everyone was like psyched about it, man. Like in the gaming industry, esports industry, I don't know what you have to do to get people's attention. They were just like, meh, MOBA, seen it. I'm pretty good with jacks. Don't need to play. Don't need to play Smite. Sorry, it's beneath me. Oh, I was there. I played Dota, so fuck Smite. And it's like the esports community, man. Like they're so resistant to change that even when change is cool, they still resist.
Yeah.
That's
people,
just,
man.
It's a plague on the fucking industry, man.
So, that plague.
The plague on people all the time.
Yeah. All right. So,
yeah, probably, but esports is just that fucking microcosm of like everything that sucks in society. It's diluted, right? Like to such an amount that you can tolerate it. But in esports, it's such a small nook in society. It's so fucking niche that everything that sucks, it comes together and it's just super intense all the time. That's why there's so many like angry and bitter people in it, like me and Jerb. Like we're just
angry and bitter.
Esports does that to you because everything you try and do positive just gets shat on by people who don't even really care about the outcome. And that's why if you're in a vocal minority, but you're in a silent majority who approves, you need to stop being a fucking silent majority and actually take charge in steering esports to where you want it to go, rather than letting the people who blow up on Reddit dictate what we should all be doing as an industry. And if you don't think you play a part, go to the StarCraft 2 Reddit and look at the top threads, because it's always, let's get some player's sponsorship taken away from him, and let's do this and let's do that. They try and influence. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, but you can certainly see it's a negative form of behavior that gets used to sculpt the scene, and it works. It works. That's the depressing thing about it. And all the people who could enforce positive change that think something cool, they're never as vocal. And that's what makes esports such a frustrating industry to work in. If you think something's good, pipe up about it. You know?
Well, you gotta remember also, right? All these Reddit guys, like,
yeah,
and not even Reddit guys, just people anonymously commenting on things on the internet, right? That just as a general, that is a thing. Outside of any kind of de-individuation talks or any of this kind of more psychological mumbo jumbo side of it, is there's a real and I think actual thing that's like the meta game of playing Reddit and forums, which is like, I'm going to say the most hyperbolic and like bombastic and difficult to swallow ridiculous thing about this guy, person, event, situation, because I want to be known as the guy that does that. And that is more important in, I think, a lot of these cases. Like I I've seen a forum signature of a guy that was like, I got this guy taken off of this team. I got blah 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 blah. Like don't fuck with me, sort of like forum signature, right?
Yeah.
Got him banned from NeoGAF. I got this guy DDoS by 4chan. Don't mess with me. And like, this is like, that's a completely separate thing from even the content of what they're saying. That there is truly a culture of like, I want to be known as the guy that says the thing. I want to point at and be like, I started that Reddit post. This link karma came from me bringing down whoever. And that's really the most kind of twisted thing and the worst, like, damn, the human condition. Like, thing out of all of it, beyond people are upset about someone being, thinly veiled racism or something, whatever it is that they get all mad about, right? Mm-hmm. It's this other kind of meta game.
But this is, again, like, what I wrote a column about it today. Like, the esports industry is because it's so small in relative terms, people get so beholden to the numbers. They fucking shit their pants. Like, the prospect of, oh, we're going to lose to 3,000 people threatening to boycott us or whatever. Like, and it dictates everything, because it's like that represents such a significant chunk. But I've always said it. When has there ever been a creative endeavor worth doing where the majority rule has, like, made it worthwhile, made it better? Like, in the column today, I used the example, like 1.7 million people watched the last episode of The Wire, but fucking American Idol gets 16.9 million viewers on a weekly basis. Like, numbers do not necessarily mean that what you're doing has got some inherent value. And what you should be looking to do is just make whatever it is you're doing, make it as strong as it can be, make it as good as it can be. And people are going to hate on it and people are going to shit on it. But you've got to have that confidence that the majority of people who tune in aren't just there to do that they're going to stick with it for the long haul. And they're going to be the people who go out and, okay, they might not be vocal on forums, but maybe word of mouth, they bring in two of their buddies. And before you know it, it grows, like...
There are a lot of people that'll check it out just because you're shit talking it, and it's like, oh, that fucking game is like, well, what is that game? I don't know anything about it. I want to go find out.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like, and again, the whole being that guy thing, like, it's because, again, numbers, right? When I write a column, if I write something that's well thought out and balanced and articulate, but it's about a subject that isn't necessarily dramatic. 20 comments, 30 comments. We put out a piece of editorial the other day, the last week, saying like a CSGO caster actually isn't that good, and the fact that he's risen to I didn't even write it, but the fact he's risen to such prominence within the scene is actually a bit of an affront to the scene. 570 comments in about fucking 2 hours, right? Because how dare you have an opinion that we as an anonymous user are allowed to have, but you as an author with a name attached to it, you're not allowed to have that. Because, the esports community operates on a fucking double standard. Mm-hmm. We want anonymity and we hate censorship and want to hide.
Webby can never get ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. That's the other double standard. Sorry. sorry.
But yeah, man. It's just irritating. Like, if people genuinely do care about esports, you'll step out of that, like, shadow. Like, the people who shake their heads and tut, and I know there must be more of them than that there ever are. Like, don't be afraid of being lumped in with everything that supposedly sucks just by vocalizing how wrong it is to be negative all the time. And actually take responsibility for if you like something, praise somebody once in a while instead of taking to Twitter to call someone shit. How about that for a fucking esports ethos? Like, let's actually say when even rival companies are doing something well. Oh, why can't we do that in esports? It's pathetic. And we wonder why the industry is this big. Because
rival companies, I can tell you why they don't do that right now. Because the very next day, they're going to come out with an ad, be like, see, look, even our competition thinks we're better than them. That's why they don't do
in
it.
Esports, I would understand it if it was like, I don't know, I would nearly said Steve Jobs, bad example. But if someone from Apple who's alive came out and said, you know what, like this MP3 player's the bomb, like I could totally understand why that might be a bad marketing move. But the point is that Apple have always recognized what other companies do well, and they've made no secret about that. And it's often talked about. If you watch any talks from their designers and whatnot, they talk about existing products and how they've took an idea and improved it, which is great. I mean, it's not necessarily innovation per se, but if you take an existing idea and take it to the next level, that's something amazing. In esports, what we do is, fuck it, they're better than us. Let's not talk about them. Let's pretend it's not happening. But the esports community know it's happening, and they know you're not talking about them for that exact reason. Right, so it just makes you look like an asshole when you don't talk about it. And a prime example, and MLG learned a lot from this. I remember when Too Good went on MLG, and he was doing a cast. I think it was for a Quake game or whatever. And there'd been some ridiculous delays, and he was put on the spot of being on air and having to talk, fill this dead air time. And he made a throwaway joke saying, of course, when I do my DreamHack events, I'm used to there being no delays because they're much better run than MLG. Anyway, and he tried to get back into the cast, and they removed him from air. Gone. Bang. That's it. DreamHack was better run than MLG, so fuck you. You're taking off air. And you could hear it on the stream. He was going, really? 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 And obviously someone was in his ear saying, you're fucked. We're giving you the old pull off. And it's stuff like that that's completely absurd because the industry isn't big enough to sustain this. I'll ignore him. You ignore me. We're not going to give you any praise, even though secretly we're looking to rip off about 20 of your ideas that we think are really cool. Esports isn't big enough for that yet. We can't afford to be cutthroat.
Right. Okay, well, now that we're done with that, we actually need to wrap this up soon.
Sorry, brother, but I do have a tendency to waffle when I get going.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, between you and Bart, we're good.
Yeah. Next time we just need you and Bart, we'll just give you the microphones and we'll walk away. No, that's...
Love you, Bart.
So what we want to do is some shout-outs for everybody, then we'll wrap up the show. And if you guys want to stick around, we'll do post-show. Like, you guys can still go on rants and talk to viewers, or anybody who needs to go can go, because I'm sure, like, Bart maybe wants to go to sleep, and Lionheart probably needs to go to sleep.
I want to go to sleep. Are you kidding?
Bart's just going to stay and control people. So, all right. So, Richard, why don't you go... We'll let you go last, so that way you have the last word in on the shout-outs. We'll run through...
And after the shout-outs, we're going to have a very special video of Bart. So stick around for that.
Oh,
yes.
God.
I know.
All right, Alecyte, go ahead. What do you have any shout-outs?
Smitecast, Dry Bear. I love Dry Bear's casting. I think he's awesome. And he would, of course, did cast the last... Oh, am I not muted? Okay.
No, you're not.
You're good.
He casted the last My Revenge tournament because of... I guess problems.
Sunday.
He cast the BLG tournament, so shout out to Dry Bear for being awesome. He's in chat there. Smitecast, the new BLG team's awesome. They're doing great in these tournaments. Hopefully we can see a first place coming out in one of these My Revenge tournaments, and I guess that's about it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bieber.
Cooper, other than your $3,000 tournament that we're so excited to see.
Yeah, $2,000 tournament announced by Smite Network. Shout out to you guys, Lionheart, Alecyte, you guys who host the show, DeamonMachine and Revel. Richard, first time meeting you. It's been a pleasure. A lot of
I look forward to talking to you in the future, brother. It's been great.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of your views are awesome, and it's interesting to hear them. Bart, always pleasure. You know that. I'm going to link some information in the chat. That's where you can find Smite Network and the stream. And also shout out to my team, Generation X, who placed 4th place in this past My Revenge tournament. So pretty happy on that. So
very nice. Cool. Lionheart, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, just a big shout out to everybody at HiRez Studios, the community, everybody who tunes in every single weekend to watch us cast and talk about the tournaments. People who play in the tournaments, the teams, the players, generally any esports related figures, whether you're reporting, such as Richard Lewis, or you run an organization, professional organization, for getting interested in Smite. I mean, the only way Smite's ever going to make it is if, as was talked about on the show today, people in the community stand behind it and are proud of it. People in League, when League was coming up, they were proud to be playing League, and that's why League made it so big. And you should be proud to be playing Smite. And you might not always agree with some of the balance decisions or other decisions that go down, but trust me, they're trying things. They're trying to make the game as best as they can for you. They listen to everything that you say, whether they implement your exact suggestion or not, and just be proud that you're a Smite player. Tell your friends about it. Try to get them involved. I've tried to convert so many people on my Mumble server to come over to this game, and you should do the same with your friends and just have a good time. Again, I just really appreciate it, and thanks to everybody here. Borderland Gaming has been real friendly to me. I'm hoping to rep them over at PAX East and everybody on BTR. It's a blast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it was good. So, where does that Bart go?
Bart, yes, it's Bart's turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ready, Bart?
Do I have any shout-outs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides Young Bay City.
Yeah.
In general, I mean, I'm like, I stream myself, so like, I'm like, seriously, the first thing you said when you said that, the first thing came to mind was like, all right, guys, be sure to check out Beyond the Rift tonight. It's like hardwired into me from signing off at like 7 p.m. No, I mean, I think the shout out goes to the viewers and to, in general, the feeling in the community, obviously, and you guys have mobilized on it and actually put a show together, but just that there is a desire, a pretty demonstrated desire for people to watch competition play in Smite.
Yep.
There was times during development as the esports manager for this company that I was just like, I don't even know if you can like play other people in this game. I mean, and seeing it come this far is really awesome. I mean, and it's very humbling, and it's cool. But I mean, I feel like that if this isn't where it ends for us, or nor the kind of, and I'd like to thank Richard for coming on. Outside of whatever it is, that transpired in the first 45 minutes of the show, what your feelings or attitude are about that as a viewer, but just that. When is the last time that when on a Smite broadcast, and no offense to any of the broadcasters, myself, Lionheart, or you guys running the show, that we've had someone talk about how Smite fits into the bigger picture of esports in a meaningful and place of experience, right? And I think that's valuable for everybody that's out there that wants to get involved, as well as myself, as well as all of us as kind of ad hoc editorialists. It's a cool thing that's happened here tonight, and I hope that this VOD gets watched, and I hope that you guys appreciate what it is that we've glossed over a $3,000 tournament for this game, and this is this game's community.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of somberness and perhaps hopefulness that's in the room and in the community, right? Right now over what has just transpired in the last 2 hours. So that's really cool, and shout out to you guys. Thanks for being here, and thanks to everybody for kind of thinking about this game and playing this game and being involved in this community in such a way that allows for something like this to really be possible.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thank you, sir. All right, Richard, please do tell us where we can find you, like any Twitters or anything like that.
Shit, I don't do that. I actually hate shout-out culture. I think it fucks esports right up. So not to rain on anyone's parade, but it's just like when I read an interview and the last question is like any shout-outs, it just fucks me off. Like you wouldn't get a professional sports person doing it. So I'm not going to do a shout-out, and I'm not going to tell you follow me on Twitter or any of that bullshit. If you want to do it, you'll find me. It's the internet, so I'm not going to patronize anyone by telling them to dig my shit. What I will say is a fucking wholehearted thanks for having me on. It's been educational for me, to be honest, because I am learning about the scene. I do want to learn more, and I like a lot of what I've heard. And I met some cool guys, and it's good to put some faces to the names of the people that, I've been talking to on Skype and whatnot, and hear some voices. Everyone's got a better accent than me, which sucks. But the main thing is like I'm definitely going to remain involved with Smite. I'm going to do my utmost to propel it into the kind of through the channels available to me, kind of make it a bit more mainstream. And I want to be the guy who's going to be like, I'm going to fucking talk about this, even though people are going to say it's unfashionable or you're being stupid or you refuse to move into StarCraft 2 because you said if you did, you were a sellout. So why are you going to, suddenly move across to Smite or whatever? But I like, I'm a fan of HiRez Studios. I think it's got a great community. I think it's got great potential as a game. And I'm gonna keep working in it, whatever people like Jerb says. So I might have to get a tire subsidy, but
I'm investing in UK tire features. I'm telling you that much.
But no, I'm just fucking around. Look, and that even goes to Jerb as well. Like we've had a fun part of the first show, and I'm hoping he's gonna wake up tomorrow and think, all right, I kind of got a little bit owned, but fuck it, see the funny side. And as far as I'm concerned, it's business as usual. It wouldn't be esports without a little bit of drama, and it's great to see Smite not just contributing a great game, but some genuine fucking lulls as well. So thanks for having me on. Honestly, it's been a real fucking pleasure and a privilege.
Thank you. I mean, I thank you guys all for joining us. I mean, I love hosting the show. It's so much fun, and I love you guys being on. I love all the viewers. We can't do the show without the viewers. Well, I mean, you could do the show without the viewers.
It's just no fun.
It would just be lack of, lack of call-ins. We started off that way, but hey, you got to build up from somewhere.
Episode whatever this is.
I got a final thought for you guys.
What?
During this whole thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Odie from Dignitas was in the chat and even hit me up and was like, "Hey man, we're looking at Smite." so just to the point, right? I mean, like, and that's Odie's an awesome guy, as Richard can attest to, and anyone else who's dealt with him, he's very, very straightforward, right? I mean, that just goes to show you that even when things look grim, that they're out there, and that we're making ripples for you guys. So congratulations to the community yet again, right? I mean, you somehow snagged a fish named Richard with a sweet beard that brought an Odie. And now maybe yellow hoodies.
Yeah.
Yes, and yellow hoodies.
Yellow hoodies. All right. We are going.
So we are going to finally end this. Anybody who wants to stick around, please stick around. We
will have a little.
We
more
need to end the
discussion.
VOD because people are going to load up the VOD and they're going to be like, "Oh my god, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm not watching this." But
but they're going to be riveted for the first 45 minutes.
They will.
They're just not. If they're listening, they're just going to stop, stay in their cars, whatever.
They're going to crash, and it's going to be all our fault, and we're going to get sued. All right, so we're going to leave you guys with this lovely thing. Yes, I know screen region. I can read it.
Dude, you're blind.
I am slightly blind. Ready for this, Bart? Are you ready for this? You see it now. All right.
Well, I mean, I knew what it was to begin with. It's physically impossible for me to be embarrassed. That it was burned out of me by wearing a sombrero on stream.
All right. So thank you all for joining us. We'll be back shortly. Wait. There it is. It's loading up. Type. There it is.
Bart, I see you, baby.
Yep.
Oh, no, I didn't know it was this.
Your boy, Kron, the Dawn. I keep the flow hotter than an egg, bomb. Your girl wanna give me that monkey woo Congo income state bread, call it crouton. But I ain't eating salad, dog, I'm on that higher power. Wanna crunch through your bone, Bakasura, I devour. Your mere zoning, got you coward to the tower, level 5, backside, tower dive, killer's hours. So what now? Do you really wanna test? But we ain't gonna be friends like Bard and the best. So who's next? Gonna step up to the plate, but after the engage, you be dead at your base. Yeah, I'm so dirty with the game. Mellow Dub is the team, and Kron is the name, like Al Kang. I'ma push it insane, and you really tryna gank? Get the hell up out my